She smiled at me across the candlelit table, and then disappeared into the crowd to dance with another man. On our anniversary. I didn't know it then, but that night would unravel every lie she ever told me, and reveal the truth she thought I'd never find. Over coffee, we then headed back to my neighborhood, leaving Frank's noticeable truck in the same supermarket lot as last night, now filled with cars. Frank drove us in my rental to my house. This time, my car was in the garage, but Ma's car and the red Hyundai Accent were gone. We reached the alley, and I jumped out, entering through the back gate, which Ma still hadn't locked. I thought about reminding her to lock it, but then realized I was lucky she didn't. Entering through the front door might alert the neighbors, so I stuck to the plan. Frank took up his position in the supermarket parking lot. We usually got home via Tompkins Parkway and 3rd Street, keeping an eye on the house. I felt a bit paranoid since Ma was supposed to be at work, but caution was key. I unlocked the back door and entered the utility room. Using a pull, I lowered the attic ladder. As I poked my head through the hatch, the walkie-talkie on my belt beeped twice, Frank's signal that he was in position. He would beep every 10 minutes, as a reunion was coming up, something she had been talking about for weeks. But then, the look she gave me when she asked if she should wear the black or beige heels, the way her eyes avoided mine, struck a chord. Was she hiding something? Go with the black ones, I said, trying to sound casual, masking the unease I was feeling. She smiled and left to change, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. My mind raced with possibilities, but I pushed them away. After all, this was supposed to be our night. Dinner was a blur. Jillian spent most of the evening chatting with her friends, barely acknowledging me, while I sat, trying to engage with the others at the table. As the meal came to an end, Jillian disappeared with Lena, her best friend. I sat there, fidgeting, my curiosity gnawing at me. Where did they go? Mark, one of my friends, noticed my discomfort. Don't worry, Greg. It's just the reunion, you know how it goes, he said, attempting to reassure me. But his words didn't settle the turmoil building inside me. I couldn't ignore the suspicion gnawing at me any longer. I stood and headed to the club where everyone had moved. The drive felt longer than it should have, every turn in the road amplifying the anxiety creeping through me. As I walked into the club, I scanned the crowd, hoping to see Jillian and Lena. But what I saw instead stopped me dead in my tracks. There she was, dancing with another man. My heart sank. The world around me seemed to slow as I watched her twirl in his arms, the same way she had danced with me years ago. It didn't take long for Lena to appear, her eyes avoiding mine. Lena, what's going on? I demanded, my voice sharp. She hesitated, clearly uncomfortable, before answering. Jillian, she's with Troy. They've been seeing each other since he came back. Troy? Her high school sweetheart. The man she had never truly gotten over. The man who had left a void in her life that I was never able to fill. I felt the weight of the betrayal settle in my stomach like a stone. Why didn't you tell me? I asked, my voice cracking with hurt. Lena remained silent, her eyes downcast, unable to meet my gaze. I turned toward the dance floor, seeing the two of them, Troy and Jillian, lost in each other's presence. The pain in my chest was overwhelming, but the anger, that was sharper. I approached them, unable to stop myself. The words that came out of my mouth were laced with bitterness. You two are meant to be together, huh? I spat, my voice dripping with sarcasm. Then why don't you just go ahead and finish what you started? Jillian's eyes widened as she stepped toward me. Greg, Don't, I interrupted, the cold fury building in my chest. You've already made your choice. I don't need your excuses. Troy stepped forward, trying to defuse the situation, but I wasn't having it. You really think I'm going to sit here and take this, huh? I shot back. You think I'm just going to walk away and pretend this never happened? The room seemed to hold its breath as Jillian and Troy stood there, trying to act like nothing was wrong, while I felt everything slipping away. I'm sorry, Greg, Jillian said, her voice filled with regret. But I can't stay in a marriage like this. I need to be with him. The words hit harder than I expected. My world felt like it was crumbling around me. How had I not seen this coming? How had I been so blind? But I couldn't let this be the end. Not yet. There was still so much I needed to say. "You're not the woman I married," I said, my voice steady now, devoid of emotion. "You're someone else. Someone I don't even recognize. And I don't know who this Troy is, but I'll tell you one thing, he's not worth it." Jillian's eyes filled with tears as she took a step back, realizing that there was no turning back from this. "Gregory." "Don't," I said, using her full name, letting the finality of the moment hang in the air. "Don't call me that. You lost that right a long time ago." With one last look at her, I turned and walked away, my heart heavy with the weight of betrayal. It was over. The life we had built together, shattered in an instant. The night was long, but it was only the beginning. This was the last time I would let her break me. From this point on, it was my life to rebuild. And I would rebuild it. Piece by piece. As I sat in the cafe, the world around me seemed to swirl, reflecting the chaos in my mind. I had to admit, I was lost. The woman I had given my everything to, the woman I thought I would spend my life with, was gone. I didn't know where to start. I was broken but not defeated. It was a strange feeling, like standing at the edge of something unknown. There was the temptation to stay in my pain, to let it consume me, but I had to fight. For the first time in years, I wasn't just Greg the husband. I was Gregory, a man who had endured betrayal and was still standing. I knew the healing wouldn't be instant, and the journey would be difficult, but with every passing day, I would rebuild myself. My mind drifted to Rebecca. I had met her on the most unexpected of days, and though she came with her own story of heartbreak, she had helped pull me out of the darkness. Her kiss, her presence, it was a light in a dark room, one I wasn't ready to extinguish. Despite my broken heart, I found a strange sense of gratitude for her. She was not Jillian, but she had something Jillian could never give me: honesty, loyalty, and the willingness to stand by my side, no matter what. As the days passed, I started finding little ways to reclaim my life. Work was a challenge, but it became a grounding force. My staff and friends rallied around me, offering support, even when I didn't deserve it. I slowly started the process of moving forward, not just physically but mentally and emotionally. I knew that the worst was over, and from here on out, my story was mine to write. Jillian had chosen her path, and now I had to choose mine. It wasn't easy, but as I rebuilt my life piece by piece, I realized that the love I had for her, while deep, was no longer enough to hold me back. It had been shattered, and there was nothing left to salvage. But the future, with its uncertainty and promise, was mine to embrace. And with that, I stepped forward into a new chapter of my life, ready for whatever came next. Image description: the image should portray a determined and focused individual, standing in front of a desk covered with legal documents. The protagonist, a middle-aged person with an expression of resolve, is holding a magnifying glass over a crucial forged document. In the background, a bookshelf filled with law books should be visible, giving the setting a professional yet intense atmosphere. The lighting should be dramatic, highlighting the protagonist's face and the document. AI image generation prompt: a middle-aged man, with an intense expression, stands in front of a desk cluttered with legal papers. He is holding a magnifying glass over a forged document, scrutinizing it with sharp focus. The background features a bookshelf filled with legal books, enhancing the serious tone of the scene. Dramatic lighting casts shadows, emphasizing the protagonist's face and the document, creating a high-stakes atmosphere. The scene should be realistic, capturing the tension and determination in the moment. If you suspect your spouse is concealing assets during your divorce, it's crucial to take proactive steps to ensure a fair division of property. Here's a comprehensive guide to help you uncover hidden assets. Be on the lookout for any large withdrawals, transfers to unknown accounts, or sudden changes in spending habits. If your spouse begins making payments or investments that don't align with their usual financial behaviors, it could signal that they're attempting to hide assets from you. These irregularities often go unnoticed, especially if one spouse handles most of the finances. One red flag might be unexplained expenses or odd transfers in the days leading up to the divorce proceedings. For example, you might notice that your spouse has started spending more time at the bank or reviewing financial statements, or even more commonly, an unexplained surge in credit card debt. Inconsistencies between reported income and lifestyle are a major indicator that something might be amiss. Has your spouse's income seemed too low compared to the lifestyle you lead? Are they not declaring a side business or freelance work that you know about? If your spouse has access to sources of income beyond their salary, they may be hiding earnings in an effort to reduce the division of assets. For instance, if they own a rental property but you've never seen any documentation about it, this is an obvious area to investigate further. It's essential to cross-check reported incomes against their spending habits. A person making an average wage should not be able to afford luxury items without a clear explanation. One strategy you can employ is to ask for a forensic accountant to review financial statements for inconsistencies. Business records are often a critical area to review. If your spouse owns a business, be wary of any changes in its financial reports. Look for unexplained expenses or transactions that seem out of place. Small businesses, in particular, can be easy targets for hiding assets, as there is more flexibility to shift funds or make purchases that are not immediately apparent. This can include paying for personal expenses through the business, or having unreported transactions that only they are aware of. This can be a challenge in the case of self-employment, where they may not have to declare everything. One of the most common forms of asset concealment involves inflating expenses to reduce taxable income and diverting funds elsewhere. Another tactic to watch out for is the creation of new debts or sudden changes in credit. If your spouse claims to have incurred new debts, especially from unknown sources, this may be an attempt to shield assets by adding liabilities to the mix. They might also be paying off existing debts at a much faster rate than normal, which could potentially be part of a strategy to protect certain assets. In some cases, spouses may transfer assets to a family member or friend for safekeeping during the divorce process. This could include transferring ownership of cars, real estate, or other valuables, and then claiming the asset no longer belongs to them. Hiring a forensic accountant is one of the most effective steps you can take. A forensic accountant specializes in uncovering financial discrepancies and can help identify hidden assets by reviewing your spouse's finances. These professionals can dig into business records, bank statements, and other financial documents to find red flags and inconsistencies. They have the expertise to spot things that might be missed by someone less trained. One important point to remember is that the cost of a forensic accountant is usually outweighed by the potential value of the assets they help you uncover. In many jurisdictions, both spouses are legally required to provide full and honest financial disclosures during the divorce process. If your spouse is hiding assets, they are violating this obligation. It's essential to review every financial document thoroughly. Request that your spouse provide any and all documentation related to their assets and liabilities. If they refuse, or if their financial documents don't match their lifestyle, you have the right to question them further and seek legal help. If the voluntary exchange of financial records does not yield the information you're looking for, you may need to subpoena records. This can include bank accounts, credit card statements, investment accounts, and tax returns. While subpoenas are more common in contentious divorces, they can be necessary when trying to uncover hidden assets. Your lawyer can help you initiate this process and ensure that all relevant financial records are made available for inspection. It's important to understand that your spouse may attempt to cover their tracks. They may get defensive, provide incomplete documents, or even lie about their financial status. If this happens, it's crucial to remain calm and proceed with the investigation methodically. In some cases, the spouse may attempt to use legal means to block your access to certain records, but this is where having the right legal representation can make a big difference. Divorce cases involving hidden assets are complex and require expertise. It's not only important to hire a lawyer, but a lawyer with experience in uncovering hidden assets. They will guide you through the process of securing financial documents, filing subpoenas, and representing your best interests in court. With their help, you can ensure that your spouse's attempt to hide assets doesn't result in an unfair divorce settlement. The discovery of hidden assets can have significant impacts on your divorce settlement. If your spouse is intentionally hiding assets, the court may take this into account when dividing property. In some jurisdictions, if it is proven that one spouse was intentionally dishonest about their finances, they may face penalties. These penalties could include the court awarding a larger portion of the marital assets to the honest spouse. Beyond the financial implications, uncovering hidden assets can also help provide closure in a marriage. It can help to clarify the true extent of what was hidden, offering insight into the character and actions of the other person. It can also serve as a deterrent for future spouses who may be considering similar tactics in their own divorces. Furthermore, if your spouse has been hiding assets, it may affect their credibility during the divorce process. If the issue comes up during hearings, a judge might look unfavorably upon a spouse who is found to have lied or attempted to conceal assets. This could influence everything from alimony and child support decisions to the final division of property. Lastly, it's important to remember that uncovering hidden assets is not just about securing a better financial future, it's also about ensuring that your divorce process is fair and equitable. By taking the proper steps to uncover these assets, you are ensuring that your settlement truly reflects the contributions made during the marriage. The process of investigating hidden assets during a divorce can feel overwhelming, but it's essential to ensure that you are not taken advantage of during this difficult time. Whether you are dealing with unexplained financial transactions, undisclosed income, or hidden debts, recognizing the signs early can help you uncover the truth. With the assistance of professionals like forensic accountants and legal experts, you can gain a clearer understanding of your spouse's true financial situation, protect your own interests, and move toward a fair divorce settlement. By being proactive, you take control of the situation, making sure that your financial future is not compromised by deceitful tactics. The story of Greg's personal journey unfolds through heartbreak, betrayal, and, ultimately, healing. It begins with a seemingly perfect life, a committed marriage to Jillian, a woman he thought he would spend the rest of his life with. Their story began simply, meeting at a friend's barbecue after Jillian had gone through a difficult breakup. What started as friendship slowly evolved into love, and 2 years later, they married. Greg, who valued loyalty and honesty above all, thought their bond was unbreakable. But his world was about to crumble. On the night of their anniversary dinner, Greg's perception of their relationship was shattered when Jillian, once again, betrayed him, not behind closed doors, but in front of everyone at their anniversary celebration. The truth hit him like a ton of bricks. Jillian had rekindled a romance with her high school sweetheart, Troy. Greg felt humiliated as his wife openly embraced Troy, and her indifference to his presence was clear. This public betrayal crushed Greg to his core. The aftermath was turbulent, as Greg struggled with intense anger, heartbreak, and a deep sense of abandonment. His life, which had once been filled with stability and love, was now tainted with the pain of betrayal. The night turned into a blur of rage and humiliation, with Greg confronting his wife and her lover in a scene that left him questioning everything he had believed about their marriage. Jillian's cold words only deepened his wounds as she revealed her true feelings, leading Greg to make the painful decision to divorce. In the following weeks, Greg rebuilt his life piece by piece. While his friends, Mark and Lena, showed their true colors by siding with Jillian, Greg found solace in the support of Colleen, a colleague who proved to be a steadfast friend. She encouraged him to seek therapy and lean on his work for healing. As he navigated the legal and emotional aspects of his divorce, Greg's strength grew. He started taking control of his financial situation, closing joint accounts, and securing his business assets. He changed the locks on his home and began packing up Jillian's things. Despite the pain, Greg remained focused. He had a sense of clarity that he had never experienced before. In the midst of this turmoil, he was confronted with his ex-friends, Mark and Lena, who tried to justify their actions and offer apologies. But Greg had already moved on from their betrayal. He refused to accept their excuses and threw their apologies back in their faces, reaffirming his decision to sever ties with those who had supported his ex-wife's infidelity. One day, Greg found himself in a deeper, more personal conversation with James, who had been a part of Jillian's social circle. James revealed that he had known about the affair for months and had done nothing. The revelation was a bitter pill for Greg to swallow. The sense of betrayal by his closest friends and even some colleagues was overwhelming, but Greg didn't let it break him. Instead, he embraced his newfound sense of independence, starting a new chapter in his life with confidence. Through all the devastation, one thing remained constant: Greg's resilience. The end of his marriage to Jillian marked the end of a chapter but not the end of his journey. He became a man who refused to let the betrayal define him. As he went through the painful process of legal battles, dividing assets, and enduring emotional setbacks, Greg came out stronger. He found solace in the quiet moments, in the peace that followed the storm. Months passed, and the once emotionally wrecked Greg slowly began to heal. The healing process was slow, but with every step, he grew more confident. He discovered new passions and rekindled old friendships. It wasn't long before he met Rebecca, a woman who would change his life forever. The connection between them was immediate, and their bond grew stronger with each passing day.